broadcast from 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on 910 AM, the future of radio. 910 AM Superstation has an all-new app. It's clearer, faster, and better. You can go to the App Store in your mobile device and download the all-new 910 AM Superstation app and check us out, and you can watch us live as we engage with you on the most important issues. I want to say a couple of things. One of the reasons why we do what we do on this program, we come to you not only as an important platform that negotiates and navigates the issues that are important to you, but we also come to you as a serious platform because we believe in the things that we do here. We raise a lot of questions that need to be answered. We ask a lot of tough questions. I mean, there are folks who would think twice before they come on this show because when you get here, as I've said before repeatedly, our first question to you is not what kind of coffee you were drinking this morning. We get right to the issues, and that's why you will hear voices like Sam Riddle, you'll hear voices like Tracy Martin, you'll hear voices like Tina Patterson, you'll hear voices like Bill Noakes, Brian Cartwright, Lavonia Perriman. I can go throughout the entire gamut of guests who have appeared on this program because we believe in the things that we do. And we take our work here seriously in asking penetrating questions and asking questions that are important, and because it is our responsibility. And, one of the things that I always, tell people, sometimes I remind people is that, I consider the work that I do as a writer, as a radio host, among other things, a privilege. Because my vocation, journalism, is one of the few vocations that is a constitutional guarantee that is embedded in the Constitution and it's a constitutional protection. So we begin today the Cannon Commission report. 50 years was my column in the Detroit News yesterday. You can read my columns on Mondays and Thursdays. Yesterday I delved into the Cannon Commission report. 50 years after that commission report, what is happening to Black life and existence. But before we begin, I teased on Facebook yesterday about Wayne State University. I was, as you all know, I was at Pancakes and Politics yesterday at the Detroit Athletic Club at the invitation of Dan Gilbert. And after Pancakes and Politics, I ran into a couple of people who shared some very interesting information with me regarding Wayne State University Black undergraduate enrollment. And apparently, the administration of Wayne State University, Roy Wilson, the entire crew, Patrick Lindsay, VP for Government Affairs, and of course, not forgetting you have the communications arm run by Michael Wright, Wayne State Chief of Staff, VP for Communications, who also is the sheriff for WDET. He runs the public radio station. Imagine that as well. So, and you have Tom Reynolds and all of the entire gamut there at Wayne State, the communications apparatus. And knowing how good they are in selling stories, to people out here, to reporters out here. So, I was yesterday at the DSC, at the Pancakes and Politics, because people understand that I have been, raising Socratic questions, and I'm not the only one. I give credit to Steve Nevelin, who hosts the Democratic Report, who comes on this show, who comes on before Redline. Nevelin has been unrelenting. I mean, he is the most dangerous man on Wayne State University campus, according to the First Lady of Wayne State, Jacqueline Watson. Posted a picture of Nevelin and all that stuff, but Steve Nevelin has been unrelenting in Wayne State, holding them accountable. So this article in the New York Times says when your college has your back. And the article is, here's the title of the article, When Your College Has Your Back. It cites Wayne State University. And I'm going to read a couple of graphs here because, some of us who are in this business know what Journalism 101 is, as opposed to those who are not, and trying to sell you a bill of goods. So in this article, when your college has your back, basically looking at test scores and other things, how colleges are improving. The article says that, list Wayne State as one of the fastest improving colleges in the nation. So it's like, wow, one of the fastest improving colleges in the nation. I said, okay, I need to read this entire article. And the article says there's been a turnaround at Wayne State in the past 3 years. In 2017, 47% of the students graduated within 6 years, making the university one of the nation's fastest improvers. Still, the next sentence after that, only 20% of black students and 29% of Latinos receive a diploma. Uh-oh. Juxtapose those two sentences in this New York Times column. Wayne State, in 2017, 47% of the students graduate within 6 years, making the university one of the nation's fastest improvers. Still, the next sentence, only 20% of black students and 29% of Latinos receive a diploma. You know what that sounds like? You're the best in slice of bread, but you're full of, you know where I'm going with that. That's what the article says in the New York Times. And so the article quotes Roy Wilson. The goal for 2020 is that the achievement gap will be wiped out, which is hubris. Of course, Roy Wilson's, I think, his contract may be up for negotiation around that time, so maybe that's the reason why he's putting that out there, saying it's a moral imperative. And this is the same Roy Wilson, the president of Wayne State, who told the Detroit News in an unfavorable article, credible story about the university, that told the Detroit News that just because we're in a major black city, we don't have to reflect this community. That's what the president of Wayne State, Roy Wilson, told the Detroit News. And here he's telling in a column in the New York Times that it's a moral imperative. So I read the column, right? Because apparently I was told that Wayne State VP for Government Affairs, Community Affairs, Patrick Lindsay, has been forwarding this to some community leaders. Because our persistent questioning of Wayne State is getting under their skin. I was even informed that the communications department that is run by Michael Wright, the chief of staff and VP for communications, the one who tells WDT what to do, he runs that station. Tom Reynolds, they're told to tape Redline every day, which I'm very proud and honored that they do that. Because this is a very popular show that has a wide listenership. So I read the article. So the journalist in me, critical mind, guess what I did? So I went to the end of the article. The article written by a professor of public policy at the University of California, Berkeley. So it's actually not a story written by a New York Times reporter or a New York Times columnist, right? It's written by a professor of public policy at the University of California, Berkeley, who contributes columns or contributes articles to the New York Times, like writing a guest column. So a professor at Berkeley, at the university, at Michigan State University of California, Berkeley, writes and says, Wayne State is great, is wonderful. How do we know? Does this professor have a relationship with Wayne State? Does this professor know Roy Wilson? So, and they're pushing this to make it look as if this was the New York Times putting in the full weight of its credibility behind Wayne State University, which is not the case. And so I wanted to point this out for people to see, to understand, so you can separate fact from fiction, and you can know when people are trying to throw dust in your eyes. Instead of getting to work and really doing something, well, maybe it's Wayne State trying to do propaganda. We are asking the question, what is this professor's relationship with Wayne State University? So we take the word of a professor at the University of California, Berkeley, who is contributing columns, like a guest columns in the New York Times. We take his word about Wayne State's improvement, as opposed to the New York Times putting the full weight of its integrity, institutional backing, behind a story or a column, right? There's a difference. But I think if the leadership of Wayne State understands what journalism 101 is, they will not be doing this. So apparently some community leaders, but not all of them though. You know, some community leaders told me yesterday that they get it. You know, they get it. One of them said to me, my eyes are wide open. They get it. So they're not taken by this. And they're not fooled by this level of subterfuge. They're not fooled. So they get it. They understand what is going on. So the article says it's one of the fastest, Wayne State is one of the fastest improvers. Nation's improvers. But then the next sentence betrays the entire trust of the article. It says still, only 20% of black students And 29% of Latinos receive a diploma. But then Roy Wilson, whose contract may be up in 2020 or 2021 around that time, says the goal for 2020 is that the achievement gap will be wiped out. That's when my contract is up for renewal. So maybe that's what I might use to ask for a renewal of my contract. It's a moral imperative. Well, when the president of Wayne State, Roy Wilson, told the Detroit News that just because we are in a black city doesn't mean we have to reflect the community, that doesn't sound like a moral imperative. You know, in my business, we'll call that double speak. And I think it's important for people to understand and to know this. Don't get it twisted. Stay woke. Because there are folks that would rather put dust in your eyes. Stay woke about what is happening. You know, I know folks in this town that may not care about this disgraceful black undergraduate record at Wayne State. They don't care because they're happy going to dinner with the president. That's what they like. They want to be seen as important. You know? Yeah, I just had a dinner with the president. Yes. That's what social commitment is to them. That's what social equity is to them. Unless you're not a student of history and you're totally disconnected from the realities. The major university in this city with a disgraceful undergraduate black record. At the mayor state of the city, the mayor gave a shout out to Wayne State president. A university that has a disgraceful undergraduate black enrollment. That should tell you something. Do we make a connection between poverty as well? That we're in the largest poverty city? See, I could go on and on this. And I observed a couple of things yesterday at Pancakes and Politics. There'll be more time for me to talk about that as well. But this is what is going on. So stay woke, don't get fooled by that. You know, and if you don't understand journalism, if you don't understand the work that we do, then don't try to do this. Don't try to sell us this. Mr. President, you know, the entire praise singing team over there at Wayne State, this does not have the institutional credibility of the New York Times behind it. A professor at California, University of California, wrote this and gave his own take. But even though he still wrote it, he still added a sentence that betrays the entire trust of the article. He still says you're full of... I'm not going to go there.